Rev up your engines!
Well, our neighbor still in North Canada, Justin Trudeau, just resigned as Prime Minister. And what I say is, it's about time. And here's what he says. I can't help but laugh. Opposition leader Pierre Poilievre's version for the country doesn't make sense. His vision for the country is not the right one for Canadians. He says this and then he resigns. I don't like what the other guy wants to do to Canada, but I'm out of here. Let you people clean up the mess. Problem is they kept printing money. They got into this woke culture BS. The average house in Ontario is like $950,000. They have rapid inflation. Now the Canadian dollar is going down. Canadian dollar is worth 70 American pennies. Hey, he finally resigned, so at least he's going to be out of there. But the damage that was done, it takes a long time to recoup from massive inflation, just printing money, demanding people be called by certain names. And he was the guy who froze the bank accounts of the truckers. Because, of course, hey, father was prime minister, right? So he's an elitist when it really comes down to it. And he thought, they're just scumbag truck drivers. People don't care about them. I'll freeze their bank accounts. They were just protesting in Ottawa. And the hilarious thing was, when these truck drivers were protesting, they were walking around peacefully drinking beers, watching hockey games, right? They used to have cameras in Ottawa that everybody could see. So you could go, oh, what's happening in Ottawa? You'd look at it. Well, when they're having this protest, he had it shut off to the public, that only the police could see the cameras to see what's happening. And probably the reason he did it was because he was trying to act like these truck drivers are gangsters, they're revolting, blah, blah. They would just see them drinking beer and watching hockey games, and the other Canadians would have said, hey, they're just like us, they're drinking beer and watching hockey games, right? So he had to hide that from people. Only the police could look at the cameras, and they got rid of the public option for people to watch it. So, hey, good thing he's gone. Maybe they'll start to get some common sense. Maybe the whole North America will start to turn around from this woke nonsense that they've been carrying around, policies that basically destroy countries. You can't just sit there and print money. People have to actually do things to get it. You can't just keep printing it up. It doesn't work that way. Well, if it does, you get this rampant inflation like they have in Canada. Everything costs so much money there. And then they just tax it, of course. Oh, well, tax it. It's kind of a good example of us not to follow here in the United States. Well, thank goodness he's gone. Well, Ford is being sued again over their EcoBoost engines again. Now, there was a recall that they're supposed to, in quote, fix them. Yeah, see what happens when you take yours in. People are now suing them in a class action lawsuit. And what they're saying is, hey, you knew you had problems with these vehicles. You sold them anyways, but you sold us vehicles that had problems. So now their value has dropped so much. Yeah, you tried trading one in. People who bought those Toyota Tundras when they went from the V8 to the V6 twin turbo. And Toyota says they're going to replace 100,000 engines. I've met people that tried to get rid of them. They bought them. They tried trading them in. Toyota dealers were giving them less than 50% of what they paid for it because they know the value of the things have dropped. But people are like, hey, that's the engines that have problems. I don't want one of those. And of course, when they do have recalls, Ford is just going to replace all these engines. I had a guy bring one in. He brought it in. They listen. It's not making any noise. There's no codes. The engine's fine. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. They got bad valves in the engines. They could be working perfectly fine. Now all of a sudden the valve snaps off. Boom. There goes the engine, right? They would have to fix it, but who knows what's going to happen in the future because I've seen that with all kinds of recalls that after a certain mileage, they just say, oh, well, no. Your car's too old. It's got too many miles on it. And they always try to lie their way out of it. Anyways, the other day, a guy brought me one of those Ford Focuses that had those horrible dual clutch transmissions, and his was starting to go out, right? And they had a class action lawsuit, and Ford admitted no wrongdoing, but they said they'll either buy back the car or fix the trannies, right? Well, he took it to Ford, and they said, oh, we're not going to do anything. There's no code for it yet. And yeah, there wasn't a code yet, but I drove it. I could feel it shifting bad. I looked at my computer data when we road tested it, and it showed that third gear was going out, that it was shifting erratically, but they didn't care. It didn't have a code. They weren't going to replace it for free. And then even if they were supposed to replace for free, the other option was they can buy the car back, and they can offer as little as $2,000. Well, $2,000 today is nothing for a car, right? And I've had people with those. They took it to Ford, and they didn't work, and they just offered them $2,000 for the car. So, all these class action suit stuff and recalls, believe you me, they find ways of wheedling out of them. They just do. Well, they say they don't make them like they used to. In the case of Toyota, that seems to be coming true more and more. Just got an email from a guy. His 2018 RAV4 automatic transmission broke, and it only had 90,000 miles on it. Now, that's crazy because I've seen Toyotas with 350, 400,000 miles still have the original transmissions, the older ones. But Toyota's not doing anything about it. They say, well, it's out of warranty. It's 6 years old. Nah, we're not going to fix anything for free. It's 90,000 miles. That's past the warranty. But that just shows the quality is not there like it used to be. It just isn't. It's unfortunate. That's what's happened with a lot of these manufacturers. They just don't have the quality that they used to have. They've lost something. And now this guy, Ryan S., he's mad as could be. He thought, what happened to Toyota quality? He says, I was driving my 2018 RAV4 and it started clunking in the transmission. And it was going 7,000 RPM at 20 miles an hour. Toyota said, well, you need a transmission now. They didn't offer anything on it. You never used to see that with Toyotas. It's sad, but true. They're not making them like that. And that's 2018. Some of the newer ones, they've had transmission problems. The Tacomas, they had 100,000 engines go in the Tundras. There's something going on. They need to get their act in gear before they end up like Ford Motor Company and leading with bad quality that people don't want to buy. Well, they say quality isn't what it used to be. Well, it looks like it's going that way for Lexus. A bunch of Lexus GX owners are saying their shiny new SUVs are melting in the sun. The mirrors are melting. They got chrome mirrors and they really look bad. I mean, look at that. It's all faded away. The plastic over the door posts, that's melting and wavering. And of course, you know, they're always trying to blame it. I had that happen with some of my customers with both Hondas and Toyotas. They took it to the dealer and they said, no, that's not our fault. That's a thermal event, right? They said, well, you parked it in a thermal event next to a building that had windows and stuff. This is nonsense, total nonsense. These people are just parking their cars outside. They're not building them correctly. They're building them so cheap that the plastic is melting. On 94 Celica, okay, that thing is 31 years old now. The plastic hasn't melted yet. And it's lived out in the sun its whole life in Texas and Tennessee. It's in the sun all the time. Doesn't live in garages. It's never been in a garage. One guy's got a 2024. He says, I got 1,000 miles. And the mirrors in the side are melting already. And this one guy yelled, and he took his to the dealer. Took his expensive Lexus 2024. And they said, oh, it wasn't a defect in the mirror. Well, it certainly was a defect. They didn't make it right. This guy lived in Arizona. Yeah, it gets hot. My '07 Matrix lived its first 5 years in Arizona, too. And none of it is melted. Even with the Lexuses. They're putting cheaper plastic in it now. Hey, Toyota, you need to get your act in gear. You're starting to get people mad. You know what happens when people get mad? They don't buy your products anymore. Well, here we go with more government bureaucratic horse manure. Toyota, Stellantis, and some other companies are what they call pooling their carbon dioxide emissions with Tesla. We got a new buzzword. They're pooling it. Okay, what does that mean? Well, of course, it's hidden. Everybody knows in the past they've had that stupid carbon trade stuff, right? Where you can trade your carbon emissions with another company. It was called carbon credit. Well, everybody knows it's horse manure, and it's just a way of letting them pollute, and other companies like Tesla collect billions of dollars, which Tesla has, and they obviously continue to, so that things are pretty much the same as they always were. But they say, oh, well, we're not polluters now. We gave money to Tesla. What difference does that make? You know, it doesn't change the pollution of their company, right? Well, now they call it pooling. What is pooling? Well, AI says when Toyota and other companies pool their carbon dioxide emissions with Tesla, it means they are combining their emissions with Tesla's lower emissions to meet regulatory requirements. So it's nothing new, right? Pooling. Oh, it sounds good. You think of a pool, a swimming pool. Oh, nice. Swimming water, right? No, it just means that they're still making dirty cars, but they're giving money to Tesla because they make electric cars. And it's carbon credits, people. But carbon credits is now a dirty word because everybody knows it's horse manure. So now they're calling it, we're pooling with Tesla, pooling. Like they're having a pool party, right? The company's all sitting there having a few drinks, swimming in the pool. No, it's still carbon credits, and it's still a line of baloney. Well, it was a banner year for electric trucks, at least for Amazon. They reached a 20,000 vehicle collection of electric delivery vans. Now, these are Rivian vans. This is probably the only thing that's keeping Rivian in business, right? We sold 20,000 of them to Amazon. They got 20,000 of them out there. Now, if anybody can do electric stuff, it'd be a company as big as Amazon. I just watched the whole program on YouTube about it. They have a phenomenal delivery system all over the world where it's all integrated, so they can integrate where the trucks are. Then when they're not being used, they'll be recharged, because normally they don't work from 10 o'clock at night till 6 in the morning, so they can recharge them then. So it would make sense that a company that's that well organized could get away with having electric vehicles. And of course, if you know anything about Amazon delivery trucks, they're stripped down to the least weight possible. They got fiberglass all over the place because they want to make them as efficient as possible. These aren't gigantic semi-trucks. These are delivery trucks, and they're made to weigh less, so they don't use as much electricity when they're going down the road. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.